This is going to be bad for New York City. I don't want to sugarcoat how bad it will be for New York City. If I were living in New York City, and I mean this sincerely, this would be enough to get me to leave. That's just me. It doesn't have to be you. If I were living in New York and I have lots of friends who live in New York. We worked in New York for many years. Lots of those people live there. And, many of them are, of a certain financial ability to be able to live there comfortably and enjoy the city. I mean, when you have a decent amount of money, it can be a great place to live. There's no doubt about it. That being said, if this guy was coming in, I mean, it's not like you have to get out there today, but I would seriously be considering my options here. I would not want to pay whatever ridiculous tax he's going to implement. I would not want to deal with the consequences of this guy's actions. I mean, this is terrible. Andrew Cuomo would have been more predictable. He would have been a typical corrupt, awful Democratic mayor. And that is something that, New York has had most of the time, although they've had periods where that hasn't been the case, and those have been the periods where the city has flourished most. That's not a coincidence. But, look, and I don't mean this, I am a New Yorker, okay? I was born in New York. The plain truth of the matter is people who live in New York City, as a whole, as a generality, not all individuals, but as a generality, are dumb. They've done dumb things to their city. They've taken what could be a great city and screwed it up over and over and over again by electing people who are terrible for not only them, but everybody around them. This is not my choice. Look, you said escape from New York. I live in Texas for a reason. And I'm sure I'm not wanted there anyway, but would not want to be there. It's just it's the type of place that is going to have real significant problems because of this election. So I understand why you'd feel really negative if you were a New Yorker today. But there has to be at least a piece of you that is happy to see Andrew Cuomo fall flat on his face yet again. It couldn't happen to a better person. Let me remind you of a little saying I like to say from time to time. It's called Andrew Cuomo is awful.com. Get the mug. Still available. I don't care. I'm going to keep it available. I don't care how out of the public eye this guy is. Just a reminder that he's absolutely horrible in every single way. And the fact that he is a little bit of the bright side of this makes me happy because he deserves to lose. He would be terrible for the city as well. Perhaps a few percent less terrible than Mamdani. Perhaps. Might be. He also might murder your relatives. So he also might grope your daughter. And I don't think Mamdani's going to do that, unless, of course, you happen to be Jewish, then it's probably top of his agenda. But not the groping, but the murder. Anyway, that's just I mean, maybe I shouldn't put that past. That's unfair. I will say that was a little uncalled for. Very possible he'd also like to grope the Jews. Let's see if he addresses that in his speech. Here he is once again blabbing.
I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name. As we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few.
This dude's, I mean, as I've said this about Andrew Cuomo before, I'll say it about Mamdani. Nobody loves Mamdani more than Mamdani. This dude loves himself. This guy is super high on the supply. This is going to be a fun thing to watch. I got to say, as a person who lives really far away from New York City, and look, I have a lot of people there that I care about. I hope they get the hell out of there. I will say, kind of interested to see how this all plays out. Because there is a model for this where it is not the most utter catastrophe. And I mean, and I say this honestly without irony, the Bill de Blasio model, where he goes in there and just screws the city up really badly. But the city's been a disaster, every few months, every few years, for a long time. And the fact that, New Yorkers are used to it. They're used to they're used to being attacked by rats. They're used to being, accosted by homeless people in the streets. They're used to this type of stuff. I mean, this is what, it's part of the experience of living there. I mean that sincerely. People, one of my friends once said, I don't know if I could live in Texas. I just like the grit of the city. Do you? Do you like the grit? you mean the grime? Is that the word you're looking for? The grit of the city. It's great on television. Okay. Is it great in real life? I wouldn't want to live there. But, you know, some people really do enjoy it. And the best case scenario here is it's a de Blasio run where it's really bad and people are hurt and the city really crumbles and is a disaster. But, like, you can get through it, especially if you have a certain amount of money. You can get through it. You can live. What you do is you'll move to a place that's 80 stories above it. That's kind of how you deal with it. So it's possible it could go that way. I don't know that it will, though. And the reason for this is Mamdani is Bill de Blasio in his youth, right? Like the thing, like a communist or a socialist would look at Bill de Blasio and be disappointed by his run as mayor because he didn't ever go all the way. You know, he would go 3/4 of the way. He'd go half the way. He'd go 60% of the way. But he was also aware of the restraints of normal politics, right? He was always thinking about himself. He was always considering this big future presidential run. Like, Mamdani's dumb enough to think socialism's the type of thing that's going to work for everybody. He also has no ability to be president of the United States. He does not have that. As he pointed out, I don't know if you heard him, he's an immigrant. We got it. So he is not the person who can be president of the United States, at least right now. So those aspirations aren't there. Now, I'm sure he's got other political aspirations. I'm sure he's going to want to be mayor and probably congressperson and governor and senator and all those other things. He'll get there. But like he is young enough where like it's more about ideology. He knows he's smart enough to not say anything, to admit the things that he wants to do now. But if think about him just a couple of years ago, he was admitting this stuff all the time before he knew he'd be in this position. And he may try to do all those things this time. He may actually try to implement, democratic socialist life. And if he does that, it's going to be a fascinating experiment to watch from afar, from like the other side of the camera that's coming across the wall of the Escape from New York movie. Let me give you, I don't know, I'm running really, really long here. Let me give you a clip of, let me give you hopefully the last clip of Andrew Cuomo I ever give you. Here is stupid Andrew Cuomo.
Congratulations to Zohran Mamdani.
No, don't, that's not who we are.
That is not right.
Not who we are.
That is not right, and that is not us.
That
is not us.
Almost had it.
Tonight was their night.
Their night.
And as they start to transition to government, we will all help any way we can because we need our New York City government to work. We want it to work for all New Yorkers because our city is the greatest city in the world, and we will unite for New York City because we love New York City.
Can't believe that guy didn't win. He's so convincing in every single way. Van Jones was on CNN last night talking about the Mamdani speech, and I thought his comments were actually pretty. Again, like he's not a guy I want running a city for me. Not a guy I want anywhere near the government. But on television, at least occasionally, he can highlight sane things, make some good points. Here is Van Jones talking about, by the way, Mamdani. It's not, why does everyone think this is hard to say? Cuomo there even said Mamdani. He's been running against the guy he's paid so little attention. All he wanted to do is grift and take people's money. He didn't care if he won, at least that's my opinion of him. And he barely ran a campaign, then screwed up the whole rest of it for everybody else by continuing to run after he had already lost the primary. I don't think he gives a crap, honestly. He's taken in all the money he's needed to throughout this, I'm sure. But like he still hasn't he still thinks the second to last letter is an M. Like that guy's barely even paying attention to this campaign. Anyway, here is Van Jones talking about Mamdani.
I think he missed an opportunity. I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech.
No, he wasn't.
And I think that Mamdani is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not?
Don't get on trains.
Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior, even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So
what?
I felt like it was a little
not the guy from TikTok.
A character switch here, where the warm,
switch.
open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight, and there was some other voice on stage. That said, he's very young, and he just pulled off something that's very, very difficult. And I wouldn't write him off, but I think he missed an opportunity to open himself up tonight, and I think that will probably cost him going forward.
The very clean truth of this is he knew he had to be the guy who smiled and was soft-spoken. He's smart enough to know that. And he did that throughout the campaign to fool people into voting for him. And then what you saw after that is just really him. Now, if he's smart, he's going to realize today, tomorrow, the next day that letting those emotions get him to the place where he's screaming at everybody, like he was in that speech, is going to hurt the possibilities of getting his communism through here in the United States going forward. So my guess is he does switch back to guy who smiles all the time awkwardly, no matter what he's saying. That being said, it is an apt observation by Van Jones there. I mean, it was really a bad speech, really bad. I mean, it was the type of, this is what I'm saying, like he loves himself. He loves himself. He's really pumped up about what he's accomplished. He's very convinced he's amazing. And so he couldn't resist the emotion of that moment. To get all of the nonsense he wants through it's going to take keeping people who aren't communists on board with him. There are a lot of people who fell for this. Now, he's only going to get in the 40s as far as the vote goes. It's not going to be anything super impressive. He's going to run with less than a majority of the vote, and that's going to be right around there. That's not going to be anything super impressive. He's going to need to continue to win people over, and I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. My guess is when these things start flopping, it's going to be another story. But it was fascinating to watch, and it will be, Glenn and I talk about this all the time. When you get to that point where you're like really frustrated about the world, and you're like, wow, like what, this is, I don't even see a way out of this. The easiest way to deal with it, kind of put yourself in the right perspective, is just sit back and say to yourself, you know what? This is going to be really fascinating to watch all this play out. And that is how I feel today. Like it's going to be an Escape from New York movie that we all get to kind of watch, and hopefully, unless you happen to be living in New York City yourself, you're not going to have to deal with on an everyday basis. That's positive. Now, it's going to hurt our economy. It's going to do a bunch of things to the country that are hurtful. But that being said, at least you're not going to be living there. So take that. Take the positives out of the day. Sure, a lot of Republican defeats. We're going to get into more of those here in just a second. But top of the line, Andrew Cuomo probably out of your life for at least another 6 months until he decides to run for something else again. And number two, at least you don't live in New York City. If you do, I'm sorry.